It's a case that's enthralled amateur sleuths for 3/4 of a century.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at 10 unsettling mysteries that were finally cracked by everyday people unaffiliated with law enforcement.
Bro, I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here.
The Biochemist and the TV show.
It was just a shock to see a little baby incapacitated the way he was. It was to the point where they said, well, they don't know how long he's going to be here. We don't know what's wrong with him yet, so you might as well just go to the waiting room and stay out there until we can tell you what's wrong.
Back in 1989, infant Ryan Stallings grew horribly sick, and tests revealed high levels of ethylene glycol, which is the main ingredient in antifreeze. Investigators deduced that he had been poisoned, and his mother, Patricia Stallings, was charged with murder after Ryan tragically died.
Patty Stallings was booked on charges of poisoning her infant son.
I knew it wasn't true. I didn't care what they thought. I just thought, well, I'll be home in a couple hours, this will be over with, I'll get to go be with Ryan. And then the day turned into a night, and then it got really serious. I got really scared.
Her story later appeared on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and it caught the attention of a biochemist named William Sly. Sly recognized that Ryan's symptoms matched a rare genetic disorder called methylammonic acidemia, or MMA, which can mimic antifreeze poisoning in lab tests. Sly helped push for further analysis, which confirmed that Ryan indeed had MMA and that his mother had been wrongfully accused. Stallings was exonerated, and she won a large settlement from the lab that tested Ryan's blood.
How they can live with themselves, knowing that they sent an innocent woman to jail the rest of her life for something that she didn't do. If Ryan would have been correctly diagnosed with MMA, none of this would have happened.
Yakov German plays detective.
It's a disturbing story from right here in New York, where a young child walking home for the first time alone was abducted and then killed by a stranger.
In July of 2011, 8-year-old Libby Kletsky went missing while walking home from day camp. Yakov German, a retired plumbing contractor from Brooklyn, took it upon himself to find the missing boy. German volunteered to help by reviewing hours of surveillance footage taken from businesses throughout Borough Park. Using his observational skills, German found Libby and noticed that he was walking with a man later identified as Levi Aaron.
Prosecutors say at the hands of Levi Aaron, the stranger police say Libby turned to for help, and shown here on surveillance tape walking behind him and getting into a car.
German carefully tracked the boy's movements from camera to camera, narrowing down the search path and providing detectives with crucial leads. His persistence helped police identify the suspect's car and apartment. But unfortunately, this only led to the tragic discovery of Libby's remains. Aaron pled guilty and was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
Going back like he's lost, back and forth. And then we saw somebody walking by, the kid following. We opened another camera, we saw him going to the car with that perp.
A fitting place for a king.
And for almost 530 years, this is where he lay, downtown Leicester. In a car park with people driving over him, parking on him, dripping oil from their motors over the last resting place of the monarch.
Richard III died on August 22, 1485, felled during the Battle of Bosworth Field. And then he just sort of disappeared. For centuries, his remains were considered missing, resulting in one of England's most famous and enduring mysteries. However, they were finally unearthed in 2012, and not in some grand fashion fit for a king, but in a parking lot.
On the very first day, digging for mere hours on a renewed hunt for Richard's remains, they stumbled on the king.
Researchers at the University of Leicester combined forces with the Leicester City Council to finally find the missing king. Guided by historical maps and ground-penetrating radar, the excavation began in a seemingly unremarkable parking lot, and Richard's skeleton was quickly discovered. The site had once been a Greyfriars Friary, where historical sources had long suggested that Richard was buried.
So he had quite a number of injuries, eh?
He did. He had 11 wounds, but 9 of those were on his head.
Somebody really wanted him dead.
Yeah, really.
Todd Matthews finds the tent girl.
At what point do you say enough's enough? There's so many times I said I'm done, but it was more than an obsession. It felt more like an obligation.
Online sleuthing doesn't often come to much, but there are exceptions. Todd Matthews played a key role in solving the decades-old mystery of the Tent Girl, an unidentified Kentucky woman whose body was found wrapped in canvas in 1968. Matthews, fascinated by the case ever since marrying the daughter of the man who discovered the body, spent years poring over missing persons reports.
Snuck off to my little office and just again, missing sister, missing this, missing that. And I would see different databases that would pop up. And I did find a note where a lady in Arkansas was looking for her missing sister, last known to be in Lexington, Kentucky, very short distance away, in December of 1967.
In the 1990s, as the internet grew and proliferated, Matthews scoured online forums and databases. His persistence and skillful sleuthing led him to a missing persons notice that matched the Tent Girl's description, that of Barbara Ann Hackman Taylor, a young woman who had disappeared in 1967. Authorities were alerted, and in 1998, DNA testing confirmed the identity.
Once there was an announcement that this was indeed the Tent Girl, and I'll always remember those words, the Tent Girl is indeed Barbara Hackman Taylor. You know, that was just chilling.
A dinner to remember.
Heard screaming. I meet my McDonald's. I come outside. I see this girl going nuts, trying to get out of a house.
Charles Ramsey was eating dinner at his Cleveland home when he heard screams for help coming from a neighboring house. Suspicious, he went outside and found a woman trying to break through the house's locked front door. Ramsey rushed over, helped kick in the bottom panel, and pulled the woman and her young daughter to safety. The disheveled woman then told Ramsey that she and two other women had been held captive in the house for nearly a decade.
And she comes out with the little girl, and she says, "Call 911. My name was Amanda Berry."
Did you know who that was when she said that?
When she told me, it didn't register until I got the call in 911. And I'm like, I'm calling the 911 for Amanda Berry? I thought this girl was dead.
Berry herself called 911, and police promptly arrived to free the others. And with that, Ramsey finally found the missing Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight. His willingness to respond to Berry's cries played a crucial role in ending their long and horrific ordeal.
So when they say, "Dude, you a hero, man, good looking now," I say, "Man, you need to."
Carol identifies Pierre April.
Imagine waking up one day with no sense of who you are, or where you came from. That is exactly what happened to a mysterious young man named Pierre, who seems to be suffering from near-total amnesia.
Amnesia is a weird thing. In May of 1992, a man woke up in a California ditch knowing absolutely nothing about his own life. All he had was a blue duffel bag, $17 in cash, and a library card with the name Pierre April. A bus driver took him to a shelter, and he was diagnosed with trauma-induced amnesia.
In the past 6 months, Pierre has undergone a battery of physical and psychological examinations. Doctors theorize he may be suffering from trauma-induced amnesia.
The man's story was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, and they brought in a sketch artist to work with the man. He recalled a co-worker named Carol, and the show aired her sketch. Funnily enough, that very same Carol happened to be watching the episode, and she called the show's tip line to identify him. With his identity known, April's parents were contacted, and his memory slowly returned.
It is strange to be told who you are and what you did. I'm someone again. And for quite a few months, I was nobody and nothing.
A professor solves the famous Somerton Man.
Now, a man who has dedicated his adult life investigating the case thinks DNA has provided the answer.
The best match we found to the Somerton Man happened to be somebody in Victoria.
A world-famous mystery for over half a century, the Somerton Man was an unidentified corpse that was found on Somerton Beach, Australia in 1948. He carried no ID, his clothing tags were removed, and a tiny scrap of paper with the words "Taman should" was hidden in his pocket, sparking decades of speculation about espionage and poisoning.
It's not the end of the story by any means. Just finding his name is really just the beginning of the story.
Despite extensive investigation, his identity remained a mystery for over 70 years. And it wasn't the police who finally solved it, but University of Adelaide professor Derek Abbott. He and genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick pursued the magic of forensic genealogy, constructing the man's family tree from his DNA. In 2022, they identified the Somerton Man as a Melbourne electrical engineer named Carl Webb.
His career working to identify the Somerton Man. He has cracked the case, and the professor joins us now from Adelaide. Derek, good morning to you. Congratulations, I believe, are also in order. This has been a long time coming, but finally, you've given us some answers.
A sketch artist finds the Cali doe.
A frustrated family firing back. A 36-year-old mystery finally solved, but the answer they had been searching for overshadowed by what they call an outright lie. The body of a Brooksville teen who was missing for decades finally found.
In 1979, the body of an unidentified Cali doe was discovered in Caledonia, New York. Fast forward to 2014, when Laurel Knoll tried getting in contact with her old classmate, Tammy Alexander. Knoll found Alexander's half-sister, Pamela Dyson, who said she hadn't seen Alexander in decades, believing that she had simply started a new life. The two realized that Alexander had never been reported missing, so they filed one.
This case could have been solved long ago had she had a parent, had she had a family that cared enough to want to even make a missing persons report.
This caught the attention of amateur forensic artist Carl Koppelman, who by chance had recently finished a facial reconstruction of the Cali doe. He realized that Alexander bore a striking resemblance to his Cali doe reconstruction and alerted the authorities. They gathered DNA from Dyson and confirmed that the Cali doe was her missing half-sister.
To finally be able to put a name to her, like I said, I can't even tell you how much it means, how proud I am of our sheriff's office.
An events manager helps find Jaycee Dugard.
This was Jaycee Lee Dugard when her childhood was stolen. This was Jaycee Lee Dugard 5 years ago when she talked to me after her rescue.
My world changed in an instant.
And this is Jaycee Lee Dugard today.
On June 10, 1991, 11-year-old Jaycee Dugard was abducted in Meyer, California, and she wasn't seen again for nearly 20 years. In August of 2009, a man named Philip Garrido visited the campus of UC Berkeley with two young girls. His unusual behavior, coupled with the girls' odd mannerisms, concerned Special Events Manager Lisa Campbell, who informed Officer Allie Jacobs of the UC Berkeley Police Department. Jacobs ran a background check and discovered that Garrido was a registered sex offender on parole.
She falls to the ground unconscious. The man driving is Philip Garrido, a convicted sex offender sentenced to 50 years in prison, but released after just 11. In the car with him is wife Nancy. Prosecutors will say she helped scout the little girl as his prize. It is Nancy who has the 11-year-old child pinned to the backseat floor.
She alerted parole officers, and an investigation into Garrido was launched. It ultimately led to Dugard, who had been imprisoned by Garrido and his wife for 18 years. The two suspicious girls with Garrido were found to be his daughters with Dugard.
There's no other word for it. Philip Garrido is a monster. What he's done is beyond belief. It's pure evil.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. The Zodiac ciphers.
Cipher is broken into 3 sections, each with 8 lines and 17 symbols.
No breaks between the symbols denoting different words, no numbers or clues to substitution keys.
And you got symbols from at least 7 different sources. Greek, Morse code, maybe semaphore, weather symbols, astrological signs.
Many things about the Zodiac have entered the pop culture consciousness, including his use of creepy ciphers, which he sent to the media and law enforcement agencies. The first cipher was cracked very quickly, but funnily enough, not by professionals. Despite the combined efforts of the FBI and CIA, it was a couple from Salinas who finally cracked the code, having found it in the newspaper.
You were right, by the way. You didn't give his name.
Who cracked it?
A history teacher and his wife at Salinas.
Despite the excitement, the cipher revealed little meaningful information. And then that was it until 2020, when an international team composed of a mathematician, a programmer, and a software developer finally cracked the Z340 cipher after half a century. Again, no meaningful information, and the other 2 ciphers, named Z13 and Z32, remain unsolved. Maybe one day.
The chances of solving this after 50 years was next to zero. And so being able to play a role in this is fantastic.
Do you think you could have solved the crimes? Let us know in the comments below.
Hey, take a gander at this code thing.
Okay.